Have you ever made a decision that felt right in the moment, only to watch it slowly unravel everything you thought you were protecting? Not out of hatred, not out of malice, but from love, from fear, from a deep, silent urge for recognition. That's where Kaikeyi's story begins, not as a villain, but as a mirror. We often think of Dharma as a distant ideal, something written in old books or spoken in hushed spiritual circles. But Dharma is not philosophy floating in the sky. It is lived, it is breathed, and sometimes it is broken. Kaikeyi's name carries weight. In most retellings of the Ramayana, she is painted as the woman who sent Rama into exile, who robbed Ayodhya of its beloved heir. But the more you listen, not to the story, but to the silence behind it, the more you begin to see a different kind of conflict, one we all carry. Kaikeyi was a queen, yes, but before that she was a daughter, a warrior, a wife, a mother. A woman who had once saved her husband's life on the battlefield, who was promised 2 boons by a grateful king, and who, years later, used those boons to demand Rama's exile and her son Bharata's coronation. It sounds simple, it even sounds cruel, but look deeper and you'll find something familiar. A tension we all wrestle with, the pull between what we know is right and what we deeply, painfully want. That is the weight of Dharma versus desire. No one wakes up and decides to betray Dharma. It never feels like betrayal in the moment. It often feels like protection. In Kaikeyi's case, her desire wasn't selfish ambition, it was maternal love. The kind of love that sees threats where there are none. The kind that tries to secure a future, even if it fractures the present. And that's what makes her story so tragic. Not because she was evil, but because she wasn't. We all face moments like this. You're asked to choose between a stable job that pleases your parents and a passion that lights you up from within. You stay in a relationship because it feels safer than leaving. You accept praise in meetings for ideas that weren't yours, because silence is easier than truth. And it rarely feels wrong in the moment. It feels like you're doing your duty. But there's a quiet cost. Like Kaikeyi, we convince ourselves that if the outcome benefits someone we love, the means must be justified. We rationalize, we reframe, we twist morality until it fits neatly into our plans. This is the inner courtroom where Dharma and desire argue in silence, and most of the time, desire wears Dharma's robes. Why do we fear losing what we already have? Kaikeyi had everything: status, power, love, respect, and yet one whisper from her maid, one reminder that her son might live in Rama's shadow, was enough to ignite the fire of insecurity. It wasn't greed, it was fear of becoming irrelevant. In modern terms, this is the fear of being passed over, of not being seen, of being replaced. Parents feel it when their children grow up and no longer seek their advice. Professionals feel it when younger colleagues rise faster. Spouses feel it when love feels less necessary than before. We tell ourselves we're only protecting our future, but often we're just trying to preserve a sense of importance. Kaikeyi asked for her son to be king, not because she distrusted Rama, but because she needed to believe she still mattered. That her role in shaping the kingdom would not end with the next coronation. In today's world, this manifests as pushing children into careers they never chose, projecting unfulfilled dreams onto others, or discouraging those around us from taking bold steps because we fear being left behind. It is a subtle form of control, one that comes cloaked in care. Dharma is not just about right and wrong, it is about harmony. And harmony is often broken when we mistake desire for duty. Think of Kaikeyi's decision as a fracture, not just in the royal family, but in her own soul. The moment she asked for Rama's exile, something within her broke, not because she didn't get what she wanted, but because she did. How often does that happen in our lives? We finally get the promotion, the validation, the recognition, but it doesn't bring peace. It brings dissonance, because we took a path that wasn't truly ours. Kaikeyi got what she asked for and lost what she truly valued. The tragedy of her story is not that Rama left the palace, but that she remained inside it, alone, with the weight of her choices echoing in every silent hallway. Modern life offers many forms of exile. You can sit at the head of the table, praised and respected, and still feel unseen. You can live in the same house as your family and still feel like a stranger. This is what happens when we trade alignment for achievement, when we prioritize being right over being whole. But the story doesn't end there, because the Ramayana does not only portray Kaikeyi as a cautionary tale, it also portrays Bharata as a beacon. When Bharata learns of his mother's actions, he doesn't celebrate. He doesn't accept the crown. He is devastated. He walks away from the throne that was handed to him and instead places Rama's sandals upon it, ruling as a steward, not as a king. In that moment, Bharata becomes what Kaikeyi could not. He embodies Dharma over desire. This too is a mirror. For those of us raised on expectations, told who we should become, given paths instead of choices, Bharata shows that it is never too late to walk away from what is wrongly given. You can rewrite inherited stories. You can decline borrowed thrones. This is what Dharma looks like. Not blind obedience to family, but clarity. Not rejection of love, but understanding what love demands. It's not about becoming the ideal son or daughter or employee or citizen. It's about becoming the quiet force that refuses to act out of fear. So what can we learn from Kaikeyi? Not that desire is evil, but that when desire clouds our ability to see clearly, even love can lead us astray. And what can we learn from Bharata? That even when Dharma is broken, it can be restored. That legacy is not built through power, but through restraint. In our lives, there will always be a choice between what is comfortable and what is right, between keeping peace in the room and honoring truth within ourselves. There will be moments when speaking up might cost you a relationship, when choosing your passion might disappoint those who raised you, when following your truth might feel like exile. But silence too is a kind of exile. And not all crowns are worth wearing. Dharma is not a rule book, it is a question. Who are you when no one is watching? What do you choose when no one applauds? Kaikeyi reminds us that the cost of acting from fear is not always visible, but it lingers. Bharata reminds us that redemption does not come from grand gestures but quiet integrity. You do not need to exile yourself to be good, but you must be willing to lose what isn't truly yours in order to find what is. If this reflection stirred something within you, share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever faced the conflict between duty and desire? Between expectations and truth? Let's begin a conversation. And if you're seeking more reflections like this, subscribe to Mind Unwoven, because the journey of thought is just beginning.